The massive starship RSS Horizon glided silently through the dark expanse of space, its sleek metallic hull reflecting distant starlight. Captain Jun Park stood at the command center, his eyes scanning the holographic displays that surrounded him. The bridge was quiet, with only the soft hum of advanced computer systems breaking the silence. Suddenly, a series of massive shapes emerged from hyperspace. Imperial Galactic Fleet vessels, each easily 10 times the size of the human exploration ship, materialized around them like predatory shadows. Their metallic hulls gleamed with intricate designs of advanced technology, weapons ports subtly opening and closing. Hero Kim, the ship's communication specialist, looked up from her console. Her fingers hovered over the quantum communication panel, waiting. The first transmission came through, a deep, resonant voice that seemed to vibrate through the ship's internal systems. Human vessel, you have entered restricted Imperial space. Prepare for immediate surrender and boarding procedures. Captain Park didn't move. He simply raised an eyebrow and glanced at Hero. A subtle nod passed between them. The Imperial communication continued, listing a series of complex legal codes and potential consequences for resistance. Each word was calculated to inspire fear, to demonstrate the overwhelming technological superiority of the Galactic Empire. But something was different about this human crew. Where most species would show fear or submission, they remained remarkably calm. Del Park, the chief engineer seated at the technical station, was actually grinning. "Transmission protocol ready," Hero whispered. The Imperial fleet continued their threats, massive weapon systems charging, energy readings spiking across multiple spectrums. They expected panic, submission, or at least a desperate attempt at escape. Instead, something entirely unexpected happened. The human bridge crew began to laugh. Not a nervous laugh, but a genuine, deep, uncontrollable burst of humor that seemed to confuse the very communication systems designed for intimidation. Hero's laughter was the first to break through the tension. It started as a small chuckle, then grew into a full-bodied laugh that seemed to echo through the ship's communication systems. Del joined her, his shoulders shaking with pure, unadulterated amusement. Captain Jun Park didn't laugh. He smiled, a dangerous, knowing smile that suggested something far more complex was happening. The Imperial fleet's communication systems struggled to process the unexpected response. Their threat protocols had no suitable categorization for uncontrolled human laughter. Threat assessment algorithms began to malfunction, unable to compute the appropriate response. "Repeat your surrender instructions," the Imperial commander demanded, his voice now tinged with a hint of confusion. More laughter. Cascading, rolling waves of human humor that seemed to dance through the communication channels. Dal's fingers moved across his console, subtly implementing protocols they had prepared for months. Each laugh was a calculated signal, each burst of humor a complex data transmission that the Imperial systems couldn't comprehend. The massive Imperial vessels began to shift uncomfortably. Their weapon systems, so meticulously prepared, now seemed almost comical. Gigantic battleships, each capable of destroying entire planetary systems, were being rendered ineffective by human laughter. Captain Park watched the holographic displays, observing how the Imperial fleet's tight formation was already beginning to destabilize. Their rigid military structure couldn't process this unexpected human response. "Sir," Hero said, her voice still carrying traces of laughter. "Transmission complete." June nodded. The first phase of their plan was executed perfectly. The Imperial fleet had no idea that every moment of laughter was transmitting complex quantum-encrypted data, mapping their entire communication network. Outside, in the vast darkness of space, the human exploration vessel RSS Horizon continued to laugh, a sound that would soon become legendary across multiple star systems. The Imperial fleet had no concept of what was about to happen. The Imperial fleet's weapon systems hummed with deadly potential, preparing to unleash a barrage that had decimated countless civilizations across the galaxy. Commander Rook watched the human vessel with a mixture of anticipation and growing confusion. Massive energy cannons charge, their blue-white light building to a devastating intensity. Targeting systems locked onto the small human ship, predicting multiple kill trajectories. The RSS Horizon looked impossibly vulnerable, a tiny metallic speck against the enormous Imperial battleships. Dal Park, the chief engineer, sat calmly at his station. His fingers moved almost lazily across the quantum adaptive shield controls. To an outside observer, he looked almost bored. The first weapon discharge erupted from the lead Imperial battleship. A concentrated energy beam that could slice through planetary crusts shot toward the human vessel. Standard protocols suggested complete annihilation was moments away. But nothing happened. The energy beam simply disappeared, not deflected, not absorbed, just vanished as if it had never existed. Commander Rook blinked. His tactical displays showed the weapon discharge, but the human ship remained completely intact. The RSS Horizon began to move, but move was too simple a word. It seemed to flow between the massive Imperial battleships, sliding through space with impossible grace. Tight formations that would normally require complex mathematical calculations were executed with casual ease. "Impossible," muttered a junior Imperial tactical officer. His display showed the human ship performing maneuvers that defied known physics. Sharp 90-degree turns without momentum adjustment. Instantaneous position shifts that should have torn any conventional vessel apart. Captain Jun Park watched the Imperial fleet's growing confusion. Each weapon discharge, each attempted interception was being transformed into a dance of technological superiority. The humans weren't just defending. They were demonstrating absolute control. Dell's systems were doing more than just defensive work. With each weapon discharge, the quantum adaptive technology was collecting data, learning, evolving. The Imperial fleet was essentially helping the humans upgrade their own technology in real time. Hero Kim monitored communication channels. The Imperial chatter was shifting from confident threats to confused murmurs. Military discipline was starting to crack under the weight of technological incomprehension. One by one, Imperial ships began to adjust their positioning. No longer were they the confident predators. Now they looked like confused children, unsure how to respond to a game they didn't understand. The RSS Horizon continued its impossible dance, sliding between massive battleships like a graceful fish through a coral reef. Each movement was a statement. Each position shift a clear message. Your technology means nothing to us. Commander Rook's hands gripped his command console. His entire career had been built on the understanding of military superiority. But nothing in his training had prepared him for this moment. A single human vessel was rendering an entire Imperial battle fleet completely ineffective. Dal Park made a small adjustment. Suddenly, the human ship's quantum signature became visible on Imperial displays. Not as a threat, but as a complex, ever-changing mathematical pattern that seemed to laugh at conventional understanding. The technological surprise was complete. The Imperial fleet had been neutralized not through violence, but through a demonstration of scientific capability so advanced it bordered on the miraculous. And they were just getting started. Confusion spread through the Imperial ships. Military protocols had no standard response for comedy broadcasts during potential combat situations. Commander Rook stared in disbelief. His highly trained soldiers were looking at each other, some chuckling involuntarily. The carefully maintained military discipline was beginning to crack. More jokes followed, each one precisely targeted to expose the ridiculous aspects of Imperial military culture. Humor became a weapon more devastating than any energy cannon. "Why do Imperial battleships have rear-view mirrors?" another comedian's voice announced. "So they can see their own failures approaching." Junior officers started whispering. Some were genuinely amused. Others looked terrified at their own growing inability to maintain standard military composure. Dal Park monitored the psychological impact. Each joke was carefully crafted, not just for humor, but as a sophisticated psychological warfare technique. The comedy was breaking down communication structures, creating micro-moments of vulnerability in the Imperial communication network. The RSS Horizon continued its impossible spatial dance, now accompanied by a soundtrack of relentless comedy. Weapon systems remained charged but unused, their operators too confused to coordinate an effective response. Commander Rook tried to restore order. "Maintain communication discipline," he shouted, but his own voice carried a slight tremor of uncertainty. Hero smiled. The psychological warfare was working perfectly. They weren't just broadcasting jokes, they were systematically dismantling the Imperial fleet's mental infrastructure. Another joke cut through the tension. How many Imperial commanders does it take to change a navigation system? None. They're too busy getting lost. Laughter began to spread. Not just human laughter from the RSS Horizon, but genuine, confused laughter from Imperial communication channels. Soldiers who had never experienced humor found themselves unexpectedly breaking protocol. The human comedy routine continued. No damage, no shield flicker. Nothing. Another Imperial ship fired. Then another. Each massive weapon release met the same result. Complete and total ineffectiveness. Del Park allowed himself a small smile. The quantum adaptive shielding was working perfectly. Each weapon signature was being instantly analyzed, its energy pattern immediately neutralized before it could even touch the ship's surface. In the vast, cold darkness of space, the RSS Horizon continued its dance, each movement a silent challenge to everything the Galactic Empire believed about technological superiority. Imperial communication channels crackled with increasing tension. What had begun as a routine military operation was transforming into something entirely unexpected. The human ship continued its impossible dance between massive battleships, but now something new was happening. Hero Kim activated the communication system. Her fingers moved with practiced precision, broadcasting signals that would soon break every known rule of galactic engagement. Suddenly, stand-up comedy routines began streaming across all Imperial communication frequencies. The first joke hit like a precision weapon. "Have you heard about the Galactic Imperial Fleet's navigation skills?" a human voice announced. "They're so bad, they'd get lost finding their way out of a one-way corridor." Each joke a precision instrument designed to expose the rigid, humorless nature of Imperial military culture. It wasn't just comedy. It was a systematic deconstruction of psychological barriers. Del's technical systems were simultaneously collecting massive amounts of data. Every moment of confusion, every break in communication protocol was being analyzed and recorded. Captain Jun Park watched the unfolding scenario with calm precision. The psychological warfare was achieving exactly what they had planned. The Imperial fleet was being neutralized not through violence, but through pure cognitive disruption. Weapon systems remained charged but unused. Communication channels devolved into a mixture of attempted military orders and involuntary laughter. The rigid Imperial structure was collapsing from within. The RSS Horizon moved between battleships, a technological dancer accompanied by a symphony of jokes. Each movement, each broadcast was calculated to demonstrate one fundamental truth. Humans were not just technologically superior, but psychologically unbreakable. Commander Rook realized something terrifying. They were losing control, and humor was the weapon responsible. As another joke cut through the communication systems, the Imperial fleet found itself in a situation no military training could have prepared them for, completely neutralized by human laughter. The psychological warfare had begun, and the humans were just getting started. The RSS Horizon had been more than just a ship during their encounter with the Imperial fleet. It was a calculated instrument of strategic brilliance, meticulously prepared for this moment. Del Park's fingers moved across multiple holographic interfaces. Months of secret preparation were about to reveal themselves. Every joke, every impossible maneuver had been collecting critical data about the Imperial communication networks. Initiating primary sequence, Del muttered, his eyes reflecting complex mathematical patterns. The Imperial fleet's Central Command ships suddenly experienced their first moment of true vulnerability. Their communication networks, which had seemed impenetrable, started showing microscopic inconsistencies. Captain Jun Park observed the developing scenario with calculated calm. Each moment was a carefully choreographed dance of technological superiority. The humans weren't just defending. They were systematically dismantling an entire military infrastructure. Quantum encrypted data packets began infiltrating Imperial systems. These weren't traditional viruses or hacking attempts. They were intelligent, adaptive algorithms designed to exploit fundamental weaknesses in the Imperial technological architecture. Hiro Kim monitored the infiltration. Her console showed multiple network layers being systematically compromised. Imperial security protocols, developed over centuries, were being unraveled within minutes. The first signs of systemic failure appeared subtly. Navigation systems began showing incorrect star mappings. Communication channels started experiencing unexplained interference. Weapon targeting computers displayed random, nonsensical calculations. Commander Rook realized something was wrong. His primary command systems were becoming increasingly unreliable. Standard reset protocols produced no improvement. Dell's most sophisticated algorithm was now fully active. It didn't just penetrate Imperial systems, it understood them. Each network pathway was being mapped, analyzed, and strategically neutralized. Massive Imperial battleships started experiencing coordinated system failures. Life support systems flickered. Communication relays became intermittent. Weapon charging sequences began randomly aborting. No physical damage was occurring. This was pure technological disruption, a surgical strike conducted through pure information manipulation. The RSS Horizon continued its impossible spatial dance, now revealing its true purpose. Every movement was a calculated transmission. Every position shift a data injection point. Imperial technicians frantically tried restoring systems, but each repair attempt was already anticipated. Each defensive mechanism already understood and neutralized. Heroes' communication systems began broadcasting subtle mathematical sequences. These weren't messages. They were complex quantum algorithms designed to further destabilize Imperial network integrity. Captain Park watched the systematic deconstruction with professional detachment. This wasn't just a counterattack. This was a comprehensive demonstration of human technological superiority. Entire Imperial battleship sections began experiencing total system shutdowns, not through violence, but through pure informational manipulation. Weapon systems, navigation computers, and communication networks were being rendered completely ineffective. Commander Rook's desperate attempts to regain control became increasingly futile. The humans had transformed warfare into an art form of technological precision. Dell's final sequence initiated. Imperial Central Command ships found their entire technological infrastructure gradually collapsing. No explosions, no physical damage, just a complete methodical technological neutralization. The RSS Horizon had transformed from an exploration vessel into humanity's most sophisticated weapon. Intelligence weaponized through pure technological understanding. As system after system failed, the Imperial fleet realized a terrifying truth. They were being defeated without a single conventional weapon being fired. The strategic counterattack was complete. Humanity had just redefined the concept of technological warfare. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this strategic counterattack narrative? The massive conference chamber was filled with an uncomfortable silence. Imperial representatives sat on one side, their once pristine uniforms now looking disheveled and defeated. Captain Jun Park and his crew occupied the other side, their demeanor relaxed and surprisingly friendly. Commander Rook struggled to comprehend how negotiations had reached this point. His entire fleet, once the most powerful military force in the galaxy, had been completely neutralized without a single traditional weapon being fired. "We propose a simple resolution," Jun said, his voice calm and measured. "Technology exchange, cultural understanding, and a mutual non-aggression treaty." The Imperial diplomats exchanged nervous glances. Their technological superiority had been completely dismantled by a single human vessel. Every sophisticated defense mechanism they had developed over centuries had been rendered useless in mere hours. Hero Kim sat beside Captain Park, her communication skills ready to translate and negotiate. Dal Park monitored the technical aspects of the discussion, his systems still capable of analyzing every minute communication detail. The human proposal was surprisingly straightforward. No demands for territorial expansion. No requests for reparations. Just a genuine offer of mutual understanding and technological collaboration. Imperial junior officers whispered among themselves. The comedy broadcasts, the impossible ship maneuvers, and the total system shutdown were still fresh in their memories. Humanity had demonstrated a level of technological and psychological sophistication that defied all previous galactic encounters. Your terms are unusual, one Imperial diplomat said, his voice barely concealing his confusion. Captain Park smiled. We're offering friendship where you expected conflict. The diplomatic resolution wasn't just about preventing war. It was a comprehensive reimagining of interstellar relationships. Humanity was presenting itself not as a conquering force, but as a potential partner. Dal's technical team had already prepared detailed proposals for technological exchange. Quantum communication protocols, adaptive shielding technologies, and innovative data processing systems would be shared openly. The Imperial delegation realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humans weren't interested in traditional galactic power dynamics. They were proposing a completely new model of interaction. Hero began explaining the cultural exchange components. Language programs, historical information databases, and collaborative research initiatives were outlined. Each proposal was designed to build understanding, not create additional barriers. Commander Rook found himself surprisingly impressed. The humans had defeated his entire fleet not through violence, but through an incredible display of technological and psychological superiority. We want to learn from each other, Captain Park said. Not conquer, not dominate. Simply understand. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this strategic counterattack narrative? The massive conference chamber was filled with an uncomfortable silence. Imperial representatives sat on one side, their once pristine uniforms now looking disheveled and defeated. Captain Jun Park and his crew occupied the other side, their demeanor relaxed and surprisingly friendly. Commander Rook struggled to comprehend how negotiations had reached this point. His entire fleet, once the most powerful military force in the galaxy, had been completely neutralized without a single traditional weapon being fired. We propose a simple resolution, Jun said, his voice calm and measured. Technology exchange, cultural understanding, and a mutual non-aggression treaty. The Imperial diplomats exchanged nervous glances. Their technological superiority had been completely dismantled by a single human vessel. Every sophisticated defense mechanism they had developed over centuries had been rendered useless in mere hours. Hero Kim sat beside Captain Park, her communication skills ready to translate and negotiate. Dal Park monitored the technical aspects of the discussion, his systems still capable of analyzing every minute communication detail. The human proposal was surprisingly straightforward. No demands for territorial expansion. No requests for reparations. Just a genuine offer of mutual understanding and technological collaboration. Imperial junior officers whispered among themselves. The comedy broadcasts, the impossible ship maneuvers, and the total system shutdown were still fresh in their memories. Humanity had demonstrated a level of technological and psychological sophistication that defied all previous galactic encounters. Your terms are unusual, one Imperial diplomat said, his voice barely concealing his confusion. Captain Park smiled. We're offering friendship where you expected conflict. The diplomatic resolution wasn't just about preventing war. It was a comprehensive reimagining of interstellar relationships. Humanity was presenting itself not as a conquering force, but as a potential partner. Dell's technical team had already prepared detailed proposals for technological exchange. Quantum communication protocols, adaptive shielding technologies, and innovative data processing systems would be shared openly. The Imperial delegation realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humans weren't interested in traditional galactic power dynamics. They were proposing a completely new model of interaction. Hero began explaining the cultural exchange components. Language programs, historical information databases, and collaborative research initiatives were outlined. Each proposal was designed to build understanding, not create additional barriers. Commander Rook found himself surprisingly impressed. The humans had defeated his entire fleet not through violence, but through an incredible display of technological and psychological superiority. "We want to learn from each other," Captain Park said. "Not conquer. Not dominate. Simply understand." The conference room's atmosphere began to shift. What had started as a potential intergalactic conflict was transforming into an opportunity for unprecedented cooperation. Imperial technical experts started reviewing the human proposals. Each document revealed layers of innovative thinking that challenged their existing understanding of technology and diplomacy. The treaty's final draft was surprisingly simple: open communication channels, technology sharing, and a commitment to peaceful exploration. No complex legal language, no hidden aggressive clauses. As signatures were exchanged, something remarkable happened. The rigid Imperial delegation began to relax. Some even started to smile, a reaction unthinkable just hours earlier. Captain Jun Park represented more than just a military leader. He embodied a new approach to galactic interactions, one based on curiosity, humor, and genuine mutual respect. The diplomatic resolution was complete. Humanity had not just survived an encounter with the most powerful military force in the galaxy. They had transformed it into an opportunity for unprecedented collaboration. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as a new era of interstellar relationships began, initiated by a single human ship that chose laughter and understanding over traditional conflict.